Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship, sponsored by SimRigs.com. It is great to have you back here for round 3, where we head to the fantastic brand new circuit of Adelaide. This place is steeped in history. Used to be the Australian Grand Prix back in the day, and is, of course, one of the most famous incidents there, the 1991 shortest F1 race of all time. We're hoping to have a slightly longer race today. Of course, our open qualifying 20 minutes ongoing at the moment. We'll have the grid results up for you in a few moments' time once they are all done. Then we've got race 1, 25 minutes, and then, of course, race 2, 45 minutes with the reverse top 10 to spice things up as always. My name is George Cooke, and I'm going to be joined in the commentary box today by Isaac Fogarty. Pleasure to be back here with you in the commentary box. Adelaide, it is becoming a bit of a staple, I have to admit, on the calendars of most leagues out there in the world. iRacing have really done a good one bringing this to us.
Yeah, good evening, George. Good evening, everybody watching at home. This is one of the best street circuits in the world. It has a storied history, as you said, with Formula One and Australian supercars, and soon we'll have a brand new history with MotoGP and the layout they're going to bring to this street circuit next year in real life. So looking forward to seeing if that might come across to iRacing. But for now, we get to focus on what is already such a brilliant circuit, the staircase section, providing a unique challenge for these drivers, and then turn 8 as well. Won't it be a challenge in these cars? You can get through there flat out, but as the tyres wear and the race goes on, that's going to be even harder, and we could see some drivers making a mistake. So looking forward to the challenge that this circuit will pose tonight.
Could be a good one. Welcome into everyone in chat. We've got Moto Fields, ePro Racing, and Lemfe, all telling us who they're supporting. Let us know who you're supporting. Who do you think's going to take this one today? 2 races, of course, ahead of us, so plenty of time for them to get out on track and get those good laps in. Our primary sponsor, of course, SimRigs.com, turnkey racing simulator specialist with years of experience in the industry. They know exactly what makes up a great setup and provide that expert advice that we sometimes do need. Check them out on SimRigs.com. Our replay sponsor, Raceline Motorsport Racewear, also known as Raceline. If you're looking for custom race suits, approved karting suits, sim racing gear or accessories, go and check them out on raceline-racewear.com.au. And our secondary sponsor, Apex Lab, founded to offer sim racers the opportunity to unleash their true potential using engineering and coaching from drivers who compete in the top 1% of the world. Check them out on apex-lab.co to get in touch. Now, let's take a little look at our champion standings as they are. We've had a few shuffle-ups, and this is the interesting thing. A few of these AM-class drivers have been moved up to Pro, and so we've had a bit of a rebalancing. We were expecting that in round 2 at Phillip Island, but we got it here in Adelaide in round 3, which has also been moved a week forward. So we are shuffling things around at the moment and expecting to see qualifying come to close in a couple of minutes. But it is Daniel Harris on top at the moment. He is a man on a charge at the moment. Currently has 4 podiums to his name, 2 P1s, 1 P2 and 1 P3. So he has been present on the podium for Pro in every single race this season so far. Very impressive credentials, his name. And of course, Sam Muir right behind him, a little bit far off on the points. So we'll see if Daniel Harris can continue this good run of form. Then it's Thomas Wilson, finds himself up in 3rd place with Sideways Esport. 4th is Luke Newing, and then Alan Dawson in P5 on a bit of a charge, because we had Donald Sabanal, who was right there, right at Phillip Island, not quite make it into that top 3 places. Behind him, Jaron McLeod, who's been upgraded from AM to Pro. Makes sense on that one. And 9.5 SimSport going to be proud to have another representative in the Pro category. And Adam Lennox Bradley in P8, and Jackson Starrett, followed by Ethan Johnson. And look who we've got just outside that. Jordan Malcolm, Jackson Rihanna. So many big names that we're expecting to jump back up in these podium positions at some point soon. And maybe round 3 is where they start to make that comeback. It's going to be important, although there is a long way to go in this 2026 season. Leading in AM class, it is now Jonathan Ackers in the number 87 car. He's on 492 points, not too far off Ross Buchan in the Pro class. Then it's Daniel Leckel on 465 points in P18 overall, but P2 for the AM class. Rob Hamilton just behind him. So this is a spicy battle in AM class. It usually is, and we're seeing that here at the PCCC series as well. In P20 overall, P4 for the AM class, Craig Spiteri. And this is the rest of the championship standings down here. Rodney Galan, who had a fantastic run of form at Phillip Island last round, finds himself in P21, 5th overall in AM class, and not too far off the points. Isaac, it's an exciting time to be here And I'll tell you what, it is time for us to take a look at the grid. So we'll come back to your thoughts on that in a few moments' time. Here is the grid, and Daniel Harris finds himself on pole position by 9/1000ths of a second ahead of Ethan Johnson. Sam Muir there in third place alongside of Jackson Rihanna. Fifth place, Luke Newing. Then Alan Dawson right beside him. I'm going to call him Jackie Stewart there for a second, but Jackson Starrett in P7 by Sibylle Zhang in P8. Jordan Malcolm in P9, followed by Aidan Ledden Bradley. Let's switch down here. We've got Rodney Galan in P11. Good qualifying by him and Brock G'day. Jared McLeod and Brad Cooper sitting in there on the 7th row of the grid, followed by Rob Hamilton and Donald Sabanal qualifying a little bit further down the grid than we would have liked to see him. Thomas Wilson in P17, followed by Jaden Wilcox. Ross Buchan in P19, followed by Daniel Lockel. Then it is Andrew Green and Jonathan Ackers, our M-Class leader at the moment. Surprisingly, seeing him down in P22. Dylan Rouge in P23, followed by Jake McNamara, who is brand new to this series, racing for the first time today. Andrew Walkley, in P25, followed by Brandon Tucker and Craig Spiteri rounding out the grid today. That is a good-looking grid, and it is time for us to go to the grid and see what it looks like from over top. But Isaac, not a bad qualifying. We've got some familiar names at the top of the grid.
Yeah, as you said, there's a lot of familiar names at the front of that field. A couple names to note: Brad Cooper returning this week after missing out last time at the Bend. He was away for family reasons, and we welcome him back this round to racing. I'm glad to see him on the grid. He's down there with Jared McLeod, who makes his debut in the pro category this weekend, so hopefully he can continue to move forward as this race goes on. We can see the cars starting to come out onto the grid now. We're not too far away from a race start. But Daniel Harris, Ethan Johnson, I feel like it's business as usual for those two. Can't get much closer than that in qualifying. But Daniel Harris, again, leading this championship, so making sure that he can put his best foot forward in this round tonight at Adelaide. Chaos is going to ensue when we get down to the chicane for the first time, I can imagine. This is, of course, round 3. So we've been to Phillip Island. We've been to the Bend. The Bend last time out was actually dominated by Daniel Harris, who took out both races, the sort of 25-minute race and the 45-minute feature race, that was both of which had question marks over the wet tyres. But can he do the same again this evening, or will there be someone that can step up and upset the championship leader by taking out the race victory?
Let's see. It will be Harris from Ethan Johnson from Sam Muir, who's yet to get onto the grid, as has Jackson Rihanna. I'm sure they'll be here in a few moments' time as we get this gridding sorted and get this race underway. Let us know. Who do you think is going to come out of turn 1 in one piece? Because I'll tell you what, this turn 1 has been a fascinating place to go racing. You're straight in there, high speed, hit the brakes, turn into the left, turn into the right, ride the curbs. The car wants to be unbalanced, and there's a curb, or there's a barrier, I should say, waiting for you right at the exit of that turn 2-3 complex, the center chicane. It's going to be a really, really interesting one today. We are about to go racing here. Lights are coming on. Who's it going to be? Round 3 begins in 2 lights time, 1 light time, and we're away. Short start, and a great start there from Daniel Harris. He's off the line absolutely beautifully. Let's see into the first chicane. This is going to be the critical moment for a lot of these drivers. The Harris is ahead. Jackson Rihanna gets round nicely, and that's a decent start for the top 4. Luke Newing in there in P5. Alan Dawson is able to hold on to that P6 position, and behind got a couple of 2 wide going on as we head into this first part. This first section here through Wakefield Road, Wakefield Corner, and the East Terrace. Jackson Rihanna already putting that pressure on early to Sam Muir. Wants to make up for lost ground in this championship so far. But I tell you what, Daniel Harris, he's away and he's running.
He has absolutely nailed that start, was leading before they even got to turn 1. So a lovely start off the line for Daniel Harris, and he'll be very glad about that. They come to turn 8 for the first time. This is where it can get dangerous on cold tyres. You've got to be careful through here the first time around. It can be flat, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, but you don't want to be going flat through turn 8 at the start of this race. That will cost you a lot of damage, and that'll put you further back in the field. The last thing you want is to go further back in this field. A great start for Sam Muir. No one inside that top 6 has actually moved up a spot yet. Sibylle Zhang is the first driver to have made a game who got Jackson Starrett off the line, so they've swapped down into 7th and 8th. And the biggest mover so far on this first lap is Jared McLeod and Brad Cooper in 11th and 12th, both up 2 spots respectively. So, but a relatively sedate start compared to what we might expect to see at Adelaide here. I was looking for some chaos through that first chicane, but everyone seems to have gotten through fairly unscathed.
You might have been a little bit early on the call because we're seeing some yellow flags come up. We've got Starrett, Malcolm, Lennox, Bradley all got yellow flags to their name at the moment. So we'll see what's happened. Slowdown penalties, so they've gone, unfortunately, slightly over the track limit for that. That might cost them some positions. We'll keep an eye on it. In the meantime, Jackson Rihanna is now under pressure from Luke Newing. So I wonder what's happened there. I think he must have dropped back, probably got himself a slowdown as well. Seems to be a lot of that happening early doors. P11, P12, McLeod and Cooper going for it. Cooper up 2 positions in this race, and he's hoping for a comeback. His performance, unfortunately, at Phillip Island in the Bend was one that he wanted to forget. And he has told us that in person. He's going to probably tell us that again after the race, so we'll keep an eye on that. So predictions in chat were saying black flag, center chicane, understeer, collision, turn 8. No. So far, Team Carmageddon not involved in anything. We've got Galan, though, with a bit of an incident, so I think he's dropping down the pack. 5 positions lost.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but yes, Jackson Rihanna did fall victim to those slowdowns. So the slowdown a lot of these drivers are going to get this evening that you'll see is the turn 1 and 2 chicane coming up, the second phase of this chicane. So the inside curve where they turn left for the first time as we follow along with Jared McLeod. This first chicane here, you can see you won't get a slowdown here. It's this second one just there where a lot of drivers are going to try and use a little bit too much, or they might get it slightly wrong. They'll use slightly too much curve, and the game will, the iRacing stewards will look foul upon them and hand them a slowdown. It's usually a fairly hefty slowdown as well. You have to try and clear it as you go around. You don't want to just roll straight out the throttle. The staircase section here is the best place to try and do it. It's super difficult to try and pull an overtake off in here if you're not already alongside. So it's where a lot of drivers will try and clear it. They have 30 seconds to do so, so plenty of time to get rid of that slowdown that they may have. But Ethan Johnson, he is not letting Daniel Harris get away here at the front. He is right in under the rear wing of the championship leader, the 22 car, and he's putting the pressure on here.
There's 0.2 of a second is the gap at the moment. It's fluctuated a little bit, but at the moment he's in a good position. And of course, now coming onto these long straights, they've got one more braking zone to go. So head through now. It's a tricky one because it's a bit of a late apex braking zone. No real opportunity for an overtake there unless you can get that overlap. If you can put the car right side by side, then there is an opportunity, but any late lunges there are going to be absolutely shuffled off. Look at the amount of air they're getting through this corner. Not the best run for Johnson through the chicane this time, but Harris absolutely nailing it with pinpoint precision. It's by the pixel, ladies and gentlemen. If we could do it by the Planck length, I think we would.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It is. There's no room, and that's why you like it on street tracks. There should be nothing between yourself and the wall when you're pushing a maximum. Look at the amount of slowdowns that are coming in. Jackson Rihanna again with another slowdown. Lennox Bradley, Brad Cooper, as you mentioned, he missed out on the bend last time. Featured in the first round at Phillip Island, but had a bit of a troubled race, and then didn't make. In the wall for Ethan Johnson. That is light contact, so nothing heavy. There might be a little bit of a bruise on the side of that car, but I'll suspect he got away with no steering damage there. But again, you don't want to be doing that too many times because you hit that concrete wall enough, it's going to cause some damage to your car. Gee,
yeah, I mean, it's so tight quarters around a lot of this track, and small things like that will start to add up over time, so he's got to try and limit that as much as he possibly can. But you know, you're running in the slipstream. It's a fast right-hander. You're really leaning on the car's ability to keep its grip, the tire life, and really the aero. So when you're following that closely to another car, it can get quite dicey. His challenge now is going to be how can he find a way to stay close but avoid these kinds of little incidents. Through the chicane we go again. We've got a replay coming up of Galan. So let's take a little look at this. Right, sim racing in the 316. So it's a close call there for him, but nothing untoward.
He just carried a little bit too much speed into the corner. These cars, I don't quite know if they do have ABS and traction control. If they don't, that definitely can play a factor, locking a brake. Didn't look like any smoke there, so not entirely sure if that was a lock or he just carried too much speed. Again, it's easy to do at that hairpin. If you come on a little bit too hot, you may be trying to go for an overtake or go for a defense. We've seen it time and time again. Drivers will just overrun the corner ever so slightly, and that will hurt them. We're looking at Brad Cooper at the moment. He's got Lennox Bradley, Thomas Wilson behind, has just served a slowdown penalty. He's going to lose a handful of spots coming into turn 8, and you do not want to be side by side through turn 8 at all. That is a one-line corner. We've got cars in the background going for overtakes, and I believe that's Buchan. I believe that might be Buchan in behind is Buchan, that was side by side with Cadet in front, and is putting a lot of pressure on. There's a nice little battle pack forming here in the mid-pack, starting to spread out up and down the field, but 15th, or even really, there's this group outside the top 10, all within about a second of each other, but Cadet, Buchan, Sabanel and Hamilton all within about half a second of each other here. Even Leckel's right on the back of this group as well. So a mistake from one of these drivers here, or even a slowdown, as we're seeing a few drivers awarded with slowdowns. Thomas Wilson gets one, Ross Buchan now gets one, so that is unfortunate, because that will cost him a lot of time, especially with this group.
Certainly will, and ahead of him, of course, Galan and Cadet leading the AM class at the moment and up a fair few positions. Good qualifying by them. I do wonder, where is our Jonathan Akers, because he is in a situation... Oh, we've had some sort of incident there, and that looks to me like maybe serving a penalty. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think so.
Something else. I think that is Starrett. I think he's gone for a bit of an accident, but let's keep an eye who has lost those positions. Either way, a whole bunch of shifting in the timing tower there, and we're only 8 minutes in. This is the fantastic thing about the PCCC and the Porsche Carrera Cup cars. These 992s are just absolutely brilliant. They're great to race, and they're not that slow at all. You know, they're going quite quick. They're not exactly GT3 cars, but I'll tell you what, it's got enough pace to certainly launch it out of a GT4 category.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. They've got a lot of pace in that car. They are not slow by any means. It looks like Jackson Starrett went down the escape road there at the exit of the staircase at 7. So not entirely sure what happened for him. Hopefully we can maybe get a replay. Here we go. The race line replay. Oh, contact with that outside wall, and massive contact. Continuing with the outside wall. He's gone down the escape road for a little bit, just more contact on the other side for good luck. Just trying to even it up at the front, just to cancel it out. I think that's how it works, isn't it? But yeah, no, he'll be carrying some damage there. It looks like he's pushing on, as we see. This is Buchan and Leckel going side by side, and overtake through the staircase, but back to the inside now for Buchan, so manages to hold on around the outside, and Jackson Starrett actually not too far off these two. They're going to have to sort this out before they get to turn 8. There is a gentleman's rule that does apply to turn 8, that whoever is ahead should get track position and preference, and Ross Buchan was ahead, so he does get the preference, and the rule, the gentleman's rule does apply, and he will go ahead, because as we said, that is not a corner you want to go side by side.
No, I mean, I tell you what, if you watch any Super Formula Light racing around here, that rule does not apply at all. Turn 8 is fair game, you go for it. But that was a nice move. It took a few corners there for Leckel to get past, and then of course he's lost the position again, so I'll have to find out a way to attack. But oh, that is Starrett. That car looks like it's slightly grabbing actually under brakes, or maybe he just locked up the rears of it so slightly. Either way, the car we know has got some damage, so it's not going to be in the best form. We know he's got the pace to be up there, potentially in the top 10 today. And oh, there we go. Bicard makes a mistake at the chicane.
Yeah, that's a massive off for Bicard, carried too much speed into the corner. Starrett's going to go around here on both Buchan and Leckel, so he capitalises him. A couple of drivers going off the road there. That was a very scary incident. Very glad that everyone was able to keep that pointing in a straight line and continue to go on. And no real slowdown for those guys, as it was a major off track, so they sort of lost enough time. The game was happy with it. Akers putting pressure on Spiteri, who actually has a slowdown, so he's trying to capitalize here. Looks to the inside at 6. Is he going to be able to get up there? He is, and he might actually get this done before he even gets to 7, and he has. So that's a lovely overtake and a brilliant opportunity to capitalize on Spiteri's slowdown, and Akers is up another spot.
He is indeed, and we're seeing another overtake. Here goes Rouge and McNamara. And now he has a very interesting name. It's his first time out here. P21 at the moment, and that's Rouge making a very nice overtake on him. So unfortunately, he's going to now fall back towards Andrew Green and Brendan Tucker. So this little back of 4 here at the bottom of the top 20 at the moment. Probably one of the closer battles out on track currently, because the lead between Harris and Johnson has kind of expanded somewhat. To nearly half a second behind them. 2 seconds, 2.4, 1.8. Now in this 25-minute race, they're not typically going to be looking to do anything in the pits. They've got plenty of fuel on board, so they'll all be able to make it towards the end. So really, if this is the indication at the moment, the top 2 absolutely infallible at the moment.
Yeah, well, Daniel Harris did the fastest lap of the race on his previous lap, so he is flying out there in 18.3. But yeah, Jake McNamara, as you said, on debut here. He's up 3 spots so far in this race, but just lost a spot to Dylan Roosh. So putting it up with the guys that have been here for a couple rounds now, and you've got to get into the rhythm. And it looks like Roosh has lost a couple spots there, so maybe something happened to Dylan Roosh. He's just jumped down 3 or 4 spots there. And we'll
looks like he's had an accident. We've got it on replay.
It does look like it.
So after a good sequence, oh no!
Oh, and that's so easy to do. I've done that myself. It's very easy to do in that situation. You're on the curb, you try and gas the car up, and there's just not a lot of grip on these painted curbs at Adelaide. So the last thing you want to do is be accelerating that car or doing the bulk of the acceleration on a painted curb. So he spun the car as a result. I've seen quite a lot of people do that, to be honest. So not something that I don't think he should be too hard on himself, but it certainly will be frustrating. But again, super easy to do. Hopefully he'll get that car back around. We should avoid a safety car as it is. He is still rolling, but that car will be wounded, so he'll either have to come in and get that repaired or run around without a front bar, and he's in the pit lane as we say that. So we'll get that fixed.
Certainly will. Brad Cooke finds himself with a slowdown penalty, and he's currently running in P10. We're just watching Zhang, who's had this great little battle with Malcolm, so recently promoted up from AM class into pro, and a little bit of defensive move there from Zhang as he hopes to hold off any kind of counter attack from behind. And now he's got Dawson in front of him by only 0.7 of a second, so he needs to find a way to get up there. I was actually going to say as well, these painted curbs, if we take it in terms of how new it is to iRacing, well, someone needs to talk to the Adelaide City Council and get those cleaned up and make sure there's plenty of grip on there. Either way, very easy to make those small mistakes, and we've seen not just those small mistakes, we've seen 1 or 2 of those so far, but I think Roosh has really been the big one. Starrett as well this race hasn't had the best of time at the circuit so far, as we see the cars launch themselves through the centre chicane once more, and now with only, I believe, it's about 11 minutes left in this race. They've got to start to catch up to this top 2. 2.2 seconds. I'm surprised, though, Isaac, to see Sam Muir not have the pace out there today. His best lap's at 18.46, whereas the guys ahead are running consistently 0.1 of a second ahead of him on track.
Yeah, it's look, I don't know, it's there's a lot going on. I'm trying to keep up with some battles that are happening further down this pack as well. Rodney Gowan is doing everything he can to stay with Brock Cadet, who is sort of he's put Thomas Wilson between himself and Rodney Gowan now to try and protect that lead. They both have a AM-class lead, or AM-class win, I should say, to their name, so they're 1 apiece. So this is for the chance to pull ahead in terms of who's got a class win. Ross Buchan here on your screen trying to find a way past Dave Leckel, who's been working on that for a little while. But yeah, Rodney Gowan here, he's driving really well, and a lot of these, I think we've said this quite a fair bit over the last couple of rounds, George, a lot of these AM Cup guys are driving really well and performing at a really good level. And you know, you sort of expect, when you look at 2 classes, you go, well, the pro guys are going to be at the top and the AM Cup guys are going to be at the bottom, but it's not always the case, especially with some of these guys. They are up there and you know, hitting the big time with the pro guys and proving that they've got what it takes to be at the front of this field.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we're seeing a little bit of a gap, you know, between P1 and P6 at the moment, and a lot of that's coming down to mistakes made on track. But the entire field overall, very, very even split, and you know, all the drivers doing their work, doing the prep that they need to do, and that is interesting. From Golan there, he's going to let Sabanel through, so he didn't need to do that because Sabanel, despite being a pro driver, is not lapping him at all. So I'm not quite sure what the decision-making process there was for Golan, but puts him 2.5 seconds now away from Hamilton, who's in 3rd place over on the AM. So does Cadet from Golan, from Hamilton in your AM class championship at the moment. Harris, Johnson and Muir, your top 3 in pro class. And the gap does seem to be coming down somewhat. 1 AM class win to Golan's name out at the Bend last time out. And it was quite the run for him at the Bend. He seemed to be a natural driver at that circuit. So clearly got the experience there. So far, translating quite nicely over here to Adelaide, and we've got Bathurst ahead for round 4. All 4 very exciting, great Australian tracks at the beginning of this season. And this Adelaide track has been providing such entertainment in so many races all around the world. It is a great addition to iRacing. I've said it once, I'll say it twice. I'll probably say it at least once more by the time we get to the end of this race. Let's take a little look. Back at the top, the battle for first, 0.39 is the gap. So not much in it. It's not quite as close as it was earlier on, Isaac, but I think Johnson has probably decided it's time to push because we've got 9 minutes, nearly 8 minutes now on the clock left on this race.
Yeah, we're starting to run out of time. I'm just trying to look through the rules here that the series has, because Brad Cooper is one of the drivers that I've noted that has been occurring quite a number of incident and quite a number of slowdowns, I should say, through this turn 1-2 chicane or through the centre chicane. And if you get too many incident points, I believe you do get served with the drive-through. So trying to actually work out what is happening for these drivers, how many points they might get for a slowdown, and what the limit actually is, because the last thing you want, especially in a race like this with 5 minutes to go, is to get one too many slowdowns and all of a sudden you have a drive-through to your name. That's the last thing that anybody would want. So I'm looking into that, but as we do that, I can see Ethan Johnson right in behind now, is right on board with him. You've got a really good sense of turn 8 here. And what I find tricky about turn 8, he was a little bit further back that time. He had to roll out of it due to the dirty air. But what I find tricky about turn 8, if you're really close like he is just there, turn 8 is a blind corner, especially in these cars. You just have to hope that the other car is going in the right direction and you can follow them, because when you're right under the rear wing of another car, you have no view of the apex of turn 8, and you just sort of have to turn and hope.
Yeah, you do indeed. And we did see that, a little bit of a lift in gear 6 through turn 8, fast right-handers. We've got a blinking car in front of our two leaders. We'll try and figure out who that is. It's the number 6 car, so that is Rouge, who's come out of the pits recently. So he'll have to find a way to get away from these guys as soon as possible. Wow, Johnson absolutely nails the apex twice through the chicane. Where is Rouge going to get out of the way? We know he's got plenty of pace, but he will need to move aside from this battle as soon as possible. He's on the apex. That's very awkward, and there's a collision between him and the leader, so he should have been moving a lot sooner than that. Daniel Harris had nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's sort of didn't know what to do in that situation. That's left him vulnerable, so it is a bit tricky. You want you want drivers to get out of this way as quickly as possible. That staircase section is a hard place to try and get out of the way, though. Through this corner now, we'll turn 8 now. I believe Ethan Johnson is going to have a much harder time of seeing the apex that time around. He was so much closer, but still not close enough into the heavy braking zone at 9 to make anything happen. Now through 10 into 11, and the back end into the parklands once again, off the street and into the permanent part of this circuit that sits here all year round and is used solely as...
And we've got a car
look
park.
At this. We've got a car park.
Well,
what a cutback.
It's a car park in motion right now. I saw this was just a lot of stuff was moving on the timing tower. And look how close Brad Cooper was to the barrier there. He nearly wasn't given the room. And that's Zhang ahead of Dawson. And then, of course, Lennox Bradley is in there in P11. So as we were talking about it, the shadows were getting longer on the track. It was getting harder to see what was going on at turn 8 for Johnson. But for these guys, they were in a real squabble.
They were absolutely in a squabble, and it's all happening at the back end of the top 10. They know that they're running out of time. Less than 5 minutes remaining on the clock. Brad Cooper, another slowdown penalty. So he's getting one. I don't want to say every lap, but it almost feels like it, the way that every time I look up, I see a little yellow square next to his name, and I just feel like he's accumulating those incident points. Maybe just a few too many. And I can't find any legislation as Brad Cooper actually pulls right over now. Gets out of the... Was that Brad? No, that was one of the lap cars maybe getting out of the way in the background.
Yeah, yep, correct.
But I can't find anything in the rule book about the incident point limits before they get a drive-through. So not entirely sure. I think it's going to be a bit of a guessing game maybe. But if anyone knows, it's Brad Cooper. So hopefully he's aware of where he's at and he knows what he has to do.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be applying the rule set correctly since he was the one who had to write it. Hashtag be like Brad. We're bringing back the hashtag. And I'm sure he'll be fair. And remember, of course, 10 points in the championship for the fastest lap as well. I believe that's currently held by Lennox Bradley. We'll double check on that one, unless you can confirm, but it was a nice, sorry, by Harris is what I meant. And then I was going to say that Lennox Bradley actually executed a beautiful maneuver, a beautiful overtake there on Brad Cooper a few moments ago at turn 8 of all places. Whoa, Brad Cooper! Whoa. That is 3 wheels off the ground.
That is, I think the term is off-road. Off-roading there. That is some Gymkhana style action. We've got a car off in the background down this gate road. I believe that's also a lapped car once again. So a couple of cars struggling with the braking through this staircase section. I love these onboard shots. You really get a sense just how close the walls are at this place, and there's no room for error whatsoever, especially coming up here through turn 8. Now Brad Cooper is a little bit further back. Listen here, does he lift?
Oh.
He does a little bit, so a little bit out of the throttle. Had to have 2 goes of that, though. Tried to get back on the power in the second phase of the corner. He's carried a lot of speed. He's gone deep. He does pull it up, though, but he lifted. He tried to get back on the power and had to lift once again, so he had 2 goes at trying to get the right speed through that corner. And it just goes to show maybe the dirty air, the tyre life will be playing a factor as well as they get further into this race. Turn 8 is becoming harder and harder.
Yeah, well, it does look like Brad Cooper's on a bit of a chargeback. He was frustrated, I'm sure, at getting that 17th or 18th slowdown at the chicane, or just after it at turn 4. So he did look a little bit more aggressive. In fact, all the driving by Brad Cooper. He's aggressive on the apexes right now. He's aggressive in the braking zones, and I think that was just the overshoot that he just had was a sort of result of that. He's driving maybe a little bit with the red mist, and I don't blame him at all. He's lost some positions in this race, and he's got P10 right ahead of him. I mean, let's be honest, if he can get P10, he has set himself up beautifully for race 2. And oh, that's another car getting right out of the way, and that's Dawson. That's a loss of position, and Brad Cooper nearly goes into the back of Lennox Bradley, but that is the door has been opened for Lennox Bradley. He goes on through to P9. Brad Cooper now sits in P10. Isaac, I think there's some gamesmanship happening right here, because P10 becomes P1 in about a minute and a half time.
Well, this is the position you want to be in. That's right. And I think Dawson may be thinking, oh, if I can just back off a little bit, maybe get back past Brad Cooper. But now he's losing a bit of ground. So if that was his plan, it's not quite executed the way he wants to execute it at the moment. But the mind games do start to take place at the end of this race. First race in a lot of these series where they do the reverse top 10 for the second race of the evening, and the position you want to be in is P1 or P10, because that gets you P1 when we go around once again. You think about at the front of this field, Daniel Harris, Ethan Johnson, they are fighting for P1 in this race. They are going to be 9th and 10th on the grid for race 2 coming up, and they have harder work to do getting back through this field. And because it is easy. I don't know, I wouldn't say it's hard to overtake around here, but you do have to work for it. There is plenty of overtaking opportunities, but you need to be in the right place. You need to set yourself up well off corners, and the drive out of a corner, especially a corner like this, turn 7, is so crucial. And we look further towards field, and Jared McLeod, the newest member of the pro class, putting Jordan Malcolm under so much pressure. Has to think about a look into the hairpin at 9, but not close enough on that occasion to make anything happen. He is right under his rear wing, though. We've got the checkered flag, and that is a win for Daniel Harris. So back to back, he opens his Adelaide account very strongly, holds on over Ethan Johnson. Sam Muir holds on for P3, another podium for him. Jackson Rihanna and Luke Newing. It looks like Jordan Malcolm may come out on top here and hold on over Jared McLeod, who threw everything at him on the final lap. And then Zhang on debut here gets a lovely P8. Brad Cooper will hold on for 10th place, and the pole positioning coming up. Look at how close that is across the line between Wilson and Golan. Brock Cadet gets the AM class victory. Golan and Rob Hamilton finishing on the podium. Then Lakel across the line. We've still got a couple more cars, but what an end to the race that was. Multiple cars on the final lap, realizing, I think, George, just as much as we did, that they were running out of time and needed to make something happen fast.
Yeah, well, that's it. 25 minutes goes very, very quickly. In the upcoming 45-minute race, there's a little bit more strategy, a little bit more thinking, but I feel like we're going to see a very, very similar thing towards the last 5 minutes of that race. In the meantime, we'll get ourselves prepared for some interviews. We're going to grab P1 in Pro and Am and see what they're thinking. So Daniel Harris and Brock Cadet hopefully will be joining us in a few moments' time. Let's bring up the race results while we wait for this next section to begin. Okay. So, as we know, it was, of course, we're just having a server doing some weird stuff at the moment, so give us a second here for these results. Let me try and bring them up properly, actually. So, here we go. That should be coming up in a few moments' time. There we go. Okay, so Daniel Harris, that's going to be his third podium position in 3 races. So, great result for him. Ethan Johnson and P2 finishing ahead of Sam Muir by some distance, so a big gap. Between the top 3 overall. Jackson Riano in 4th place. None of them really making up a lot of positions throughout this race. Luke Newing there, Jordan Malcolm, Jared McLeod, Sibylle Zhang, Aidan Lennox-Bradley, and Brad Cooper will be starting on P1 for race 2. Then Brock Cadet in P12, leading AM class Rodney Galan in P2, and Rob Hamilton. So a big shake up there because Jonathan Ackers, our AM class leader in the championship, not present at the top of these results at the moment. So not ideal for him at all. Isaac, are we ready to bring someone in for an interview?
We absolutely are. We're going to get Brock Cadet into the booth, and here he is. Brock, welcome in. First of all, congratulations, class victory, 12th place overall. Has to feel pretty good to start Adelaide with a strong result.
G'day guys, yeah, look, I didn't know what to expect coming here. There was definitely carnage in the first half of that one, but to come out relatively unscathed and grab the class win and even be in the top half of the field, it felt pretty good.
Yeah, talk to us about this circuit in these cars. It looks pretty challenging out there. We saw a couple drivers making mistakes as the race went on. Did you feel like as the tyres started to wear, it was getting a little bit more challenging, or does the car feel pretty stable at the moment?
I actually felt the first 5 to 10 minutes are the hardest. This car really comes into its window in what would have been sort of the 10th to 25th minute of this race. In the next race, where the temps are hotter and the race is longer, I think after the half-hour mark, watch for people to really start making mistakes, including myself, because the tyres are going to drop off a cliff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't know if George, you wanted to come in, if you got any questions that you wanted to ask Brock.
Oh, no, I mean, I think you're covering it beautifully. But, Brock, I mean, I guess in terms of AM Class Championship, you've got any goals that you set yourself for the rest of the season? Ackers at the moment is leading AM Class, but wasn't really present in the battle up there at the top with you.
Yeah, look, I missed the last round, so the standings are a bit skew-if, but I think that based off Adelaide and our first round as well, I think I'm in the fight for a top 3 in AM. Obviously, it's a long championship, but I think that's where I'm sitting. So I'm not going any higher than that. I'll keep that as my target and just keep plugging away.
Excellent. We love to hear it. I think we may not have Daniel Harris, so probably one more time, one more question we can ask you. Going into a 45-minute race, what changes? Obviously, the first 5 minutes still going to be really tricky, but what changes in terms of how you're going to drive here at Adelaide? I mean, obviously, you're hoping that you're not going to end up in an accident, but there might be some different thinking that you're going to take into this one.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be a race of survival, really. So for me, it's going to be look after those tyres. Don't do anything too silly move-wise. It's a long race out there. And yeah, I think if I make it to those last 10 minutes unscathed, I'll be pretty happy and push on with what I've got. But in the meantime, it's going to be bloody hot. So I'm just going to keep it safe.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, on behalf of TriStar Racing or yourself, any final things before we send you out onto the track for race 2?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, real quick thanks to the boys at TriStar Racing. I'm racing with Brant tonight. We also have Tommy in the series. The whole team is absolutely awesome. And thanks to you guys as well, the broadcasters, the admins. It's always this series is awesome, and I love participating in it. So big thanks to you guys too.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Brock. And we wish you the best of luck in the upcoming race. Do not put it into a wall. And I feel like I might have cursed him by saying that. But thank you very much, Brock. A pleasure.
Thanks, gents. Appreciate it.
All right. So, Isaac, interesting, isn't it? You know, that first 5 minutes, the tyres, before things really kind of dial in on the car, we kind of saw that a little bit, but there was a lot of cautious racing at the start of race 1. And I think we're going to see the same thing going into race 2.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to have to, as you say, really keep an eye out for, especially in those first few corners. The centre chicane as well will provide a really tricky challenge, especially if there's a couple cars side by side going through there. Everyone had it mostly sorted out by the time we got there at race 1, but I feel like that's more of the anomaly than it is the norm. So looking forward to seeing what happens in the second race. There is a chance we could see the safety car. I feel like safety car probability, if we had a percentage, is quite high around here. So the fact that we didn't see one in that first race is surprising. Will we see one in race 2? I guess we'll find out.
Well, it does seem odd that we didn't see that safety car. I mean, you and me were discussing before we went live, and we basically agreed, yeah, lap 1, turn 2, 3, 4, there's going to be a safety car. Someone's going to put into the wall. We saw Roosh and Starrett come afoul of it, but I would say for the most part, 99% were absolutely fine through that first race.
Yeah, I think there was a couple mistakes from a few drivers, but nothing major. And the damage that drivers did have, they were able to get back to the pits or continue on. So there wasn't a need for that safety car. It's only going to be if there's something major that's going to cause a blockage in the track that we'll see. We'll see that safety car come out.
Certainly will. Well, we're about to go onto the grid because we are getting ready to go again for a 45-minute race. So let's head down there now and check things out. So, what is the weather doing is going to be the question. Brock seemed to think it was going to be, quoting him here, bloody hot. And it is. It is 39 degrees Celsius on the track. It is 23 ambient, 46% chance of, 46% humidity, I should say. Cloudy and a 30-kilometer-an-hour gust of wind at the moment. So these are maybe not the most ideal conditions. You can see that cloud just off in the distance, slowly creeping in. I wonder if we may have a bit of a mix of weather today.
Oh, I definitely think we maybe could. Again, I don't want to jinx things too much, but we definitely could see a little bit of weather coming in. I believe we're not too far away from the drivers gridding up, so we might actually be able to look at the grid and how the drivers will shape up for this second race that is coming up very shortly. You can see there Brad Cooper taking the pole position. So there is his car. The 93 is front and center in that P1 spot, and he is ready to go.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting one for Brad Cooper. He hasn't been in this situation as yet this season thus far, as I recall. But here's the grid in the reverse 10 today. It's going to be Brad Cooper on pole. It's going to be Aidan Lennox Bradley for EDR Endurotech. Sibylle Zhang is going to be lining up in P3, so watch out for the white and pink car. Then it'll be Jared McLeod, he's on there now. Jordan Malcolm just behind him. Then Luke Newing in P6, followed by Jackson Rihanna, who is going to be the bottleneck here, I think, for the likes of Sam Muir, Ethan Johnson, and Daniel Harris, who are lining up, of course, in those final few positions. So a tricky one. Daniel Harris is now getting, I think, rather familiar with starting in P10 for the second race. So his approach seemed to have been go for the overtakes when they present themselves, and they should present themselves at least a few times. But I think back to your point, it can be a tricky place to overtake at Adelaide.
It can be tricky. Look, it definitely can be done. It is a circuit where there's plenty of opportunities for overtaking. It's just about capitalizing, being close enough for that overtake to actually happen. So see a lot of drivers, they'll try and set themselves up. Out of turn 7 is going to be crucial. The exit you get off 7, if you can stick under the rear wing of that car and be right there through 8, stay with them into 9, you can get the overtake done under heavy braking there. So that's going to be the key opportunity. That staircase section as well is look for a couple switchback maneuvers. If someone gets the move into 4 or 5, 6 and 7 is going to be a key spot for them to get the switchback overtake on them.
Exciting times. A big thanks, of course, to our sponsors, SimRigs.com, primary sponsor, and then, of course, Raceline Motorsport Racewear. Check them out on raceline-racewear.com.au, and Apex Lab, apex-lab.co. The lights are on, ladies and gentlemen in chat. Give us your predictions, because the lights are about to go out, and we go racing, and someone has not gridded up, and it is P3 Jordan. Sibylle Zhang has not gridded up at the beginning of this race. So into the first chicane we go, and Brad Cooper has lost the position already to Aidan Lennox Bradley. Through we go for the first time. It seems to be all line astern for the most part through that section, but a big change up at the start of this race. Jared McLeod now going for moves. He's battling with Jordan Malcolm. So lots of shake-ups happening, and that's a great little bit of battling. We've got Jackson Rihanna trying to make a move on Newing, and he's managed to do that. Can he hold it around the outside, though, early doors? He can't. Daniel Harris up 3 positions already in this race, so he's off to a really, really good start in this, and he's making a charge. He wants to get 2 wins in a row again. Brad Cooper retakes the lead briefly from Aiden Lennox Bradley. But here we go, we're getting to the tricky part of the section. Brad Cooper's done it. Will he keep it out of the wall? He does, and that's lead again for Brad Cooper.
He's going to defeat, goes defensive into turn 9. We've got multiple cars going for overtakes, a little bit of side-to-side contact with Jordan Malcolm and Jared McLeod. They have sorted that out, though. There was a little bit of pushing onto the curb there from Malcolm from McLeod, so running him wide, running him out of space. But it is a great start for our Pulsar. He lost the lead off the line, but has managed to get it back at the end of this lap, and he will lead the first lap as we come across the line. And yeah, Daniel Harris off to a great start. We saw there for Luke Newing the advantage of that switchback we talked about on the exit of 5 into 6. It can help you out if you are stuck on the outside for 5. It does turn to the inside for 6 and turn 7. And now look at them all as they run single file through the center chicane for the second time. 45 minutes of racing, a slowdown for McLeod and Rayhana. That's going to absolutely hamper their progress because Jordan Malcolm is now all over the back of Aiden Lennox Bradley. So he's trying to walk away a little bit from the man behind him in Jared McLeod. But this will be a nice bit of relief for Brad Cooper if Jordan Malcolm can apply this pressure here, because that could give him a bit of breathing space to pull away.
Here goes Daniel Harris on Jackson Riano. Will there be an opportunity for the move? He's going to try and keep it wide. No, he keeps it nice and tucked into the apex there. Wants to get that runoff speed. Jackson Riano forced to go defensive in this. This is the battle for P6. Well, technically P4 right now. Side by side they go. And then behind them, Johnson and Newing going for it. Johnson wants to keep hold of Harris as much as possible. Finished P2, of course, in race 1, and now needs to be finding his way through as he sees Harris go through and cut through the field. He needs to be finding his way through as well. Not the same luck for Sam Muir, who's fallen down by 1 position, but not made that same progress in this race. Looks like Rouge has had yet another... No, it's not Rouge, it's Buchan. He's had another issue in this race. You can see he's down 8 positions, and the pit lane start from Zhang is an absolute disaster, down 22 positions. What could have been, because Zhang was showing some really good pace in race 1. So keep an eye on that. But as you said, Isaac, this is exactly how the gaps start to exacerbate themselves. You get that slowdown, you're going to find yourself overtaken and offline.
Absolutely, you are, and that is the problem with these slowdowns. I think a lot of drivers, as we said, they have 30 seconds to serve it. They're doing the best they can to try and serve it in this that staircase section, but you still need a little bit of a lead to be able to hold on to that as Jake McNamara moves up a spot into 17th, and he sits 4th in class, side by side through turn 8. You don't want to do that, and that is Rayhana and McLeod. Rayhana forced all the way over to the inside, and here comes Daniel Harris. He's going to try and go around the outside. It's 3 wide at the hairpin. That is not something you see very often. Jared McLeod's going to get his ears boxed here. He's going to lose another 2 spots here. Ethan Johnson will follow Daniel Harris through. Could there be another spot loss with Luke Newing in behind as well? And Jared McLeod has lost 3 spots in the space of about 2 corners there. And Luke Newing under pressure from Sam Muir. It's all happening at the back end of this top 10 now. The gloves are well and truly off. We're only 4 minutes into this race, ladies and gentlemen. We still have 40 minutes of action remaining. And these guys are racing like it's the final lap.
Yeah, and we thought the tyre life was, you needed to warm up the tyres in the first 5 minutes. Well, for Brock Cadet, he's done that well. He's sitting at the back of the top 10 right now and leading AM-Class by 4 positions. So he is in a really good position in that AM-Class section. Galan and Leckel separated by not too much on track, but as this battle continues to brew, I wasn't surprised at some point there was going to be a trigger pulled, and it looks like Harris was certainly one. He wanted to take advantage of the fact that Jackson Riano was making that very, very bold move. And he managed to pull it off beautifully, got down the inside line, is still now up into 4th position and still ahead of McLeod, who's lost those 3 positions. So impressive maneuvers there, and I'm glad that Harris had the wherewithal to take advantage of that. He tried around the outside, nearly forced himself to spin it on the curb, but was able to control the car just enough to hold on. In the meantime, Brad Cooper, a 1.5 second lead over Aiden Lennox Bradley. What a start for Brad Cooper.
What a start for Brad Cooper, and he has capitalised on the fact that Lennox Bradley was under pressure from Jordan Malcolm there for a little while. Jordan Malcolm won the first race back in Phillip Island, the sprint race that we had, the first of the two, the 25-minute race. And Jackson Rehana also has a race win next to his name. So there's a few guys at the pointy end of this field that know how to win. As Jackson Rehana, it says he's out, I believe that's connection issues. So there's connection issues persisting for Jackson Rehana. It does have him back there once again, but he'll have to monitor those, because if it does get too bad, the game will just, iRacing will just kick him from the serve, and that's the last thing he wants when he's sitting in P4. So hopefully those issues can stabilise and he will be able to continue on in P4. But Daniel Harris is looking to go 4 in a row. He won both races at the Bend. He won the first race here tonight. He's looking to go one better and go 4 in a row here this evening. And there's multiple drivers at the front of this field that are looking to upset that and get a race win next to their name. Jordan Malcolm, Jackson Rehana, can they get their second race win of the season? Can Brad Cooper or Aiden Lennox-Bradley get their first? Ethan Johnson's in there as well. Luke Newing. It's pretty much, you look at where Jordan Malcolm is in third place, there is not much separating anyone all the way down to Sabanal in 12th place. They're in a pretty much a line astern for about 10 cars.
Yeah, that's right. It is the line to get the McDonald's, and they're all lined up right now and being respectful so far, which is great to see. 0.8 of a second seems to be the average gap between them, about 0.6 or so. It looks like Andrew Green has come into the pit lane, and I believe we have a few replays queued up. I dare to take our eyes off this, because I feel like something's going to happen in a few moments' time. Might be happening here, because look at how close Jackson Rehana is now getting to Malcolm, who is, of course, now up into the pro category, and rightly so. And that 57 car, who we thought was Daniel Harris last time out, some of those who were watching at the Bend might have remembered the number and the name mix-ups that we were unfortunately subject to last time. Those rectified now, and now it is definitely Jackson Rehana. Will he be going for another bold move? This was where they ended up 3 wide, and Daniel Harris will be lurking like a shark on this one.
Yeah, he's looking to put these guys under pressure. I think you said Jackson Rehana is getting very close to Jordan Malcolm. He got even closer by the fact that he just touched the wall through the staircase section. So he's pushing the limits of this car at the moment. He is wringing everything out of it that he possibly can to try and stay where he is, or potentially even move forward past Jordan Malcolm. So again, these two, of all these three in this little group here, Malcolm, Rehana and Harris, have got race wins next to their names across this season so far. And they'll all want to add another one to that list, I am sure. Jackson Rehana right in behind. He's got to slow down though, so this is going to cost both him and Daniel Harris, because Harris could try and capitalize here if he can get alongside, but it's super tricky. You have to sort of already be there to get this done. And defensive driving from Malcolm. Is he going to go for the switchback here? Malcolm will go a little bit wider, shuts off the switchback by parking into the middle of the road, and he was awake to it, but look how much time it's cost both of them to Jordan Malcolm. And now past goes Daniel Harris. So Rehana trying to serve up the inside. This is going to be a sit. And it's in the wall. Contact with the wall for Rehana. It was only light contact, but again, that gentleman's rule does need to come into play. If the car ahead does get preference on the run through turn 8, and it doesn't look like it played out that time, and they stayed side by side. It almost ended in tears for Jackson Rehana, and he has managed to keep that car going. I think there'll be minimal damage on there, but you can only touch that wall so many times before the car decides that that's enough is enough. He gets a better exit, a little bit of side-to-side contact with Ethan Johnson on the exit of the final corner, and he does fall back in behind. Maybe potentially a half little redress in as they run through the centre chicane, but it's all happening here. Look at the air time they get across the second phase of that centre chicane.
We have seen this before with Jackson Rehana. Small mistakes, he gets frustrated with himself, I'm sure, and then starts becoming aggressive, and that was very aggressive. An overtake on Johnson where he essentially got up the inside beautifully, but then didn't really allow any space. Well, neither of them really did, and gave him a bit of a shove out to the side. So the elbows are out, so I don't know if we should be talking about this gentleman's rule thing anymore. Certainly not applying to P5, 6 and 7 right now. Rehana is on a charge, and he needs to be back up there with Harris. That's where he was hoping to be, so a couple of pixels out of line, and big impact for Johnson.
That is a huge impact into the wall, and there's a bit of debris that's come off that car. He's lost a mirror on the side. We see that so often in the supercars. They don't even often put the mirror on the left-hand side of a car at Adelaide because they know it's just a lost cause. That mirror will come off. So now he just looks like a normal Porsche Cup car that would run around this circuit with no left-hand side mirror. And that'll make it a little bit harder to see where Jackson Rayhana is on occasion. Look how close he is to the back of the 471 car, all over the rear bumper of the Antic Motorsports Porsche, putting him under immense amounts of pressure, and they are losing time to this group in front. Jackson Rayhana has skipped away, hasn't he, out in front. Brad Cooper, he has 1.6 seconds back to Lennox Bradley, then it's 2 seconds back to Jordan Malcolm, who's got about half a second to Daniel Harris, and then another half a second back to Jackson Rayhana and Ethan Johnson. So Jordan Malcolm, he'll be feeling the pressure now from our championship leader, who continues to try and look to move forward in this race. He has so much pace in that car, and just time and time again, Daniel Harris proves why he is leading this championship with the pace that he does have.
Exactly right. On the charge, through turn 8 we go. Nice and quick through there. Daniel Harris, will he be looking to psychologically intimidate his opponent right now? Definitely looked like a psychologically intimidating line to be taken, sort of threatening the undercut and the overtake. And he's got his window wipers on, so that's a clear move of psychological terror. You know, when you've got your window wipers on, it's bone dry out there in the car behind you going, this guy's mad. He's absolutely got a madman behind me, and I think I might just need to pull to the side of the road and let him through. So hopefully Malcolm is immune to the psychological pressure being applied, but at some point Harris will be close enough to make that move. The intervals at the top, Brad Cooper 1.7, and then to Lennox Bradley to Malcolm, and it is 1.8. Fastest lap now by Johnson, even despite smashing his car into turn 8. So clearly still got pace in the car at this point, and a nice wide entry for Harris. He wants to get the advantage, and wow, I don't want to say that the psychological pressure worked, but as I said before, if I see a man with the window wipers on behind in dry conditions, I think, you know what, I'm just going to let him go.
Well, he had a slowdown as well, did Jordan Malcolm, so I think he was trying to serve that as quickly as possible before Rayhana and Johnson, who are closing in, caught up too much more. So I think that was a little bit of self-preservation from Jordan Malcolm to go, I know that Daniel Harris is going to get past me at some point. I don't want to make this fight too hard because I do want to make sure that I don't lose even more spots as Dawson goes ahead of McLeod, who is just struggling a little bit here. It seems at the moment in the early stages of this race, the car maybe not quite to his liking, the temperature and the tyres not sitting the way that he would like, and we see it further back. This is Starrett going at it. He's got some spots to make up after that incident in race 1 where he found himself in the wall just between turns 6 and 7, and then down the escape road at 7, and trying to go up the inside now. He's got Brock Cadet for company right behind him as well, looking to go through on Sabanal. Better exit off the corner. There's a little bit of an overlap maybe. Sabanal moves across to the outside on the pit exit to shut off any chance of an overtake happening into this chicane. And look at the way those cars go through, a lot nicer that time. And look at how close to the wall, how wide Starrett went there to get up the inside now. And Cadet's going to try and follow as well. He's going to be stuck on the outside for 5. Will try and hold around the outside. This will turn into the inside for 6 now for Cadet. He's still there. Room left between the two drivers, and it will remain the inside for 7. So this is the chance for Cadet to get that move done, be decisive. But unfortunately, it's not gone quite that way. And here comes, there's that Wilson that has just gone up the inside. They're going to go 3 wide between turns 7 and 8. You do not want to be side by side through, especially 3 wide. This could end in tears. They sort it out. And they've managed to work out who's where before they get to... Oh, we've had a lag spike. Is that Cadet? It is Cadet, and that's
Cadet.
The last thing you want. The last thing you want as a driver in that battle pack is a blip or a driver disappearing and having a blink, because then you don't know where they are on track, and all of a sudden you could have a driver that you're making contact with because they reappear out of nowhere.
You're 3 wide going into turn 9 and the car disappears. I mean, yeah, that's paddock territory. Now, it may have only disappeared for us, but... certainly a scary moment. Gave me a bit of a jump in my heart there, so skipped a couple of beats, unfortunately. But this is critical moments for Brod Cadet because he is in a situation where Galan is now only 0.6 of a second behind him. So being overtaken by Sabanal, Wilson and Starrett, and essentially losing that capability now to really chase after them, although he is still quite close to Sabanal. Ideally for Brock, able to put a car between him and Galan, but Galan has been driving well at the beginning of this race. He's looking to pick up another podium in his list of accolades. Oh, into the back goes Brock Cadet and into the wall as well.
Yeah, it's I've just noticed as well, Leclerc's coming to the pit lane, and I don't think he is moving at this stage. Andrew Green has come back out on the circuit, albeit 5 laps down. Not entirely sure what's happened for Daniel Leclerc. He's just coming to the pit lane. He slowed right up. He was part of this little battle group we saw here, and then he's slowed right up. He's now at the pit exit, so he's back out on circuit. So maybe some damage there for the 35 car that he's had to come in and repair. And we'll keep a very close eye on that indeed as we move on. But it's yeah, looking a bit, I think it's a bit early for a pit stop, so not entirely sure what has happened for Leclerc, but we're looking at this battle at the moment, and it is still continuing between Cadet, Sabanel, Golan and Thomas Wilson, who's trying to pull away from this group. He's about just under a second up the road from Sabanel. But this is Golan in behind, actually is second in class, so that's the battle for the class lead.
Yeah, this is a critical battle happening right now. Remember, there's still 30 minutes on the clock, so still plenty of time for these drivers to get around. I can't see anything on there for Leclerc in terms of accidents or incidents. So if he has run off somewhere and hit the wall, it hasn't come up as seriously significant. Andrew Green has had a crash just recently. I don't think it was a major one either. Rob Hamilton as well, and they're sitting currently in P20 for Hamilton. I'm not sure where Green is at the moment. I think he's further down the field. Yes, he is down in. Actually, I can't even see it right now. Can't see his name, so maybe we can get that up on our screens at some point soon. Nonetheless, the critical battle on your screens right now, and I feel for Brock Cadet, I think it looks to me like he's got plenty of pace in there. 7L was definitely aggressive, trying to get through the pack and get up there and keep hold of Wilson and Starrett, as we do see some jostling for position between Muir and I believe that's Newing, so we'll keep an eye on that too. But Brock Cadet, he's just got to have the pace. Misses the apex at the last corner, not ideal at all. Hasn't lost him too much time. I think Galan is playing the right game here, and he's putting his car in a position to overtake at some point, but just needs to wait for his mistakes. It's really a game of attrition, this at the moment. Behind them in third place for AM class, it is Jonathan Ackers. And remember, he is leading the championship standings at the moment, as Cadet rightly pointed out during his interview. He did miss the previous race, so he reckons he's got the pace over both Galan and Ackers, and is right in there for a good championship finish. And we're only round 3 out of 16, all the way to the end of November, December time, when we'll have our final race. And Brock Cadet gets a few style points there. Galan loses a bit of pace to the barrier.
Yeah, it's that's the thing. You're gonna have a couple cars, or quite a few cars here, that will actually have lost paint and have marks on them and scratches. Daniel Leclerc back in the pit lane once again, so that issue is persisting, whatever that technical issue may be. This is Daniel Harris putting pressure on Lennox Bradley now, so he's managed to close up this lovely drone shot that we see, and now on board with Daniel Harris. Get a sense for what this circuit is like through the center chicane now. Throw it in to that first curb. Use as much as possible to maximize the straight line you can make. And now look at the exit he's got compared to Lennox Bradley, who went wide, and he's going to have that done before they even get to turn 4. That is up into second for Daniel Harris, and that is the last thing Brad Cooper will want to see, is the fact that that 22 car is now able to set after the race leader. And Brad Cooper, who was probably feeling a little bit comfortable at the front of this field, he was lapping in the 19s. Nothing too crazy. We've got a car around.
That's Brandon Tucker. That is Brandon Tucker. Yeah, and he's had a big one, so let's take a little look at this one. Big one. So TriStar Racing, and oh, that is the wrong part of the barrier to be collecting, right where it says bone. Well, he's managed to basically completely T-bone his entire car, and that front suspension, I think, is probably a bit damaged, and at least he managed to get out of there before the pack of guys came on through. So scary moments for Brandon Tucker. He's had another accident, actually. That looks like he's going very, very slow on track. I don't think that suspension really lasted through that at all.
No, and I think this could be a safety car if he doesn't get it rolling quick enough. He is doing the best that he can, but if he doesn't get this rolling soon, there's going to be a safety car. He's doing everything he can to try and get this car back to the pits without pitting anyone. Look at how much it's sort of crabbing.
Yeah, it looks like a bit of left front. It seems to be a little bit out of whack, doesn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely it does. So he's got to move, so we should avoid a safety car here, provided there's no further incidents for Brant Tucker. He's almost back to the pit lane now, which is a good sign. But that was a very scary moment indeed. A couple slowdowns. Rahana, Dawson and McLeod all serving slowdowns after cutting the chicane at turn 2.
Slowdown City.
Newing.
Oh, everyone's getting slowdowns.
Golan's got one as well. It's all happening, isn't it? And that's turn 2. It will catch you out. But this is Sam Muir putting pressure on Luton. We haven't seen too much of Sam Muir tonight. He's sort of flown under the radar a little bit. Was inside the top 10 for race 1, but just a little bit of a quieter performance. He has got a podium to his name this season. 2 podiums, or 3 podiums actually. A 3rd place at Phillip Island and at the Bend in the feature race, and then a 2nd place pushing Daniel Harris all the way through that first race at the Bend last time out. So he has got a lot of pace, he's got a lot of talent behind the wheel as well, and he's trying to use all that at the moment to find a way past Luke Newing.
Yeah, and another moment there for Rihanna, whose car, across a number of series, Rahana has had some small connection issues, and they seem to see him popping in and out of the race relatively often, but never seems to be fatal or terminal in terms of an issue. So he is still there in P5, but he's got Johnson ahead of him now and Lennox Bradley. So those slowdowns are massively costing these guys out there. And as we said, it's turn 2, 3, 4. Those are the real danger areas, because there's a couple of pixels, isn't there, Isaac? As we were sort of highlighting earlier on in the stream, where if you take a little bit too much out of it, that yellow line that you can see there is critical that you're not putting 3 tyres over the top of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is definitely critical that you don't put 3 tyres over that line. And they're just looking. Daniel Kell, is out of this race, so he has retired, and Grant Tucker is now back in the lane and is serving that pit stop. But yeah, it's out next to Lakel. So
we are being told. Let's Talk Motorsport has just jumped into the chat and told us the car that disappeared at turn 9 did actually happen, and he was behind it. So tell us exactly how you felt.
I believe that may be Lakel, because he was behind Cadet at that time when the car disappeared at turn 9. So that Let's Talk Motorsport may actually be Daniel Lakel that has retired from this race. So
tell us what happened.
Potentially is clipped, as by reading here, has clipped that car after it disappeared, because as we said, it's super difficult to tell. So there's a front bumper sitting there on the loose. Someone's lost their front bumper at turn 1. Not sure.
I think that might be Luke Newing. We'll double check that.
Could be.
Yes, it is, because Luke Newing has done it. He's the first one to, and he's gone for a Tony Hawk Pro 1080. Except it's not in the vertical axis, it's in the horizontal axis. There's the reason. We've seen that front bumper. Crikey. Once you see it go wrong, you realize how dicey that chicane actually is.
Oh, absolutely. You see them get off 3 wheels off the ground, even 4 wheels off the ground, but they keep it straight. You think, oh, that looked a bit hairy, but then as soon as what does go wrong, it is very, very hairy. But yeah, so it was, in fact, me saw the opportunity to pass P2 in AM class, and next minute it vanished. So that is the hard part, as we talked about, when there's a car like Cadet that does have a moment where it disappears off your screen. You don't know where the car is. You sort of have to drive like it might not be there.
We do, and I have to interrupt you.
Being put on by Brad Cooper.
Exactly right. Here we are back at the top. Brad Cooper's 1.7 second lead over, I believe at the time it was Lennox Bradley, has evaporated rapidly, and now he finds himself under pressure from the race winner in race 1 and current championship leader Daniel Harris. 0.4 of a second is the gap, and you can see Brad Cooper's really starting to have to drive the car. We're just coming up towards half race distance. In fact, we are past race distance. My ability to do math on stream yet again eluding me. Unfortunately for Brad Cooper, the P1 may elude him as well. That's a big impact. That looked bigger than other impacts we've seen at turn 8.
That was a fairly hefty impact with the wall, and we've seen a couple of cars do that. Nothing that stands out as a major impact, but still that will not have a positive effect. Look, there's a mirror missing on that car as well on the other side of the vehicle. So he's had an impact with the right-hand side at some stage. I'm surprised he kept his left-hand side mirror after that. He might not have had any mirrors left, I thought, after the level of that impact. Daniel Leckel saying that he hit the wall at turn 11 on the outside, which is easy to do. That tyre barrier does jut out, and he broke the steering, so that was the reason why he came into the lane.
I see.
So that is what caused his retirement in the end. He had a little bit of damage, made a mistake, and clipped that tyre wall on the outside. Very easy to do, and now Brad Cooper's just let him go.
No, he's had a slowdown. He had a slowdown, and Brad Cooper, that's the most frustrating way to lose a lead in this race. And admittedly, he's probably thinking, well, look, that's Daniel Harris who's going to be overtaking me at some point in this race. You know, at the end of the day, that's probably fair game at the end of the day. But that's still probably the most frustrating way to lose that lead. He'd much rather have been engaged in a side-by-side battle with Harris. But Brad Cooper is still pushing hard. Turn 8 seems to be one that he wants to really exchange some paint with. Goes very deep into the corner. Through goes Johnson, and that's 2 positions in a number of corners for Brad Cooper. It's all coming apart for him at the top of this race.
Well, I was just going to make comment of that, George, that he let Daniel Harris go, but keep in mind that Ethan Johnson was right in behind, and he was really just searching for an opportunity as well. So there might have been a little bit of smarts from Brad Cooper to get out of the way of Daniel Harris to stop Ethan Johnson closing up, but at that stage he was already there and really just close. So for now, for Brad Cooper, look at the on 2 wheels, almost at a 45-degree angle for Ethan Johnson, and Brad Cooper followed him. That is a very hairy moment indeed, and I've never seen a car roll at turn 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if that did happen at some point. It is very much happening.
The physics equations do say that it is somehow possible. We have yet to see it. I think these cars are probably difficult. I have seen it in Super Formula Lights. I've seen cars do instead of a horizontal Tony Hawk 1080, they've done a sideways Tony Hawk 1080, a barrel roll, you might say, and Brad Cooper meets the wall at turn 8 yet again. I think, Isaac, really now for Brad, he's got to start thinking about the guy behind him, Lennox Bradley. There's a 2-second gap there, and really at the end of the day, he doesn't need to be pushing too hard, just needs to manage that gap.
No, and he is quicker than the car behind when he's on a good lap. He obviously was a bit compromised on the lap previous due to the slowdown and losing a couple spots there, but he is similar pace, if not a little bit quicker than Lennox Bradley. We can see that the gap was about 1.8 seconds when they first sort of were 3rd and 4th, and now it's back out to 2.2. So this podium is very much achievable for Brad Cooper tonight. He's just got to keep an eye on Lennox Bradley and anyone else that might be behind Lennox Bradley that's trying to come through this field, like a Jackson Rehana, if he can find some pace in the back end of this race and close in. Now, the sense that I got from Brock Cadet is that we may not see pit stops in this race as another slowdown, and that's absolutely killer for Brad Cooper. Look at the gap that it's now down to a second, but yeah, we may not see pit stops in this race.
No pit stops in this race. I believe they've got enough fuel to get to the end, so I think the conclusion from Brad as a league admin was that it's more like real life racing, you know, where you don't have to go for that sort of refuel strategy stuff. If you need new tires, yeah, you go for it. And there may be some advantage of that. Misses another apex there, and Brad is in trouble. And that P3 position may come the way of Aidan Lennox Bradley in short order. And I wonder if those impacts have started to create a bit of a toll on the car. It's certainly not looking super comfortable, especially under braking.
No, it's he's struggling a little bit now, maybe carrying a little bit of damage, a little bit of aero damage, which may unsettle that car. I've just noticed Jake McNamara has come into the lane, so potentially some damage there. He's at pit exit now. We'll have to be mindful of this lead group that is coming through, so he goes a lap down. Rob Hamilton in 21st as well is struggling at the moment, and Ross Buchan on the charge back through the field after that early incident, back up to 19th place. Zhang up to 18th after starting from the pit lane. Again, not entirely sure what happened and why he was not able to make the grid for the race start, but he did start from pit lane and continues to move forward. So it's good to see him up. Technically he's down 15 spots, but he's up. Yeah. He's up about 8 spots at the moment.
7 or 8 spots, I think. Yeah, he would have started behind. I can't recall who it was, but we had one person who had a real shocker of a start down 8 positions, and then 22 because Zhang was then ahead. A couple of notes here in chat. Kobe Jones reminding us that, or telling us, I should say, that Jackson's car is broken. He hit the wall at turn 8 a few laps ago, so that's why we're not seeing the ultimate pace out of Jackson Riada. That's going to be a frustrating end to the day for him. He's currently sitting with Sam Muir just behind him, so that's a battle that we'll be going on board and having a look at in a few moments' time. Brad Cooper, in the meantime, has found a second wind, and he is absolutely loving it. Here's the battle now. It's Brad Cooper. Sorry, it is Sam Muir.
Sam Muir.
Same number of syllables, unfortunately. Jackson Rihanna in their battle, 0.4 of a second between them, and Sam's got to be calculated about this one. 15 minutes to go, still not a short distance. So he's going to have to make this pass very, very carefully, and we know that Jackson Rihanna will defend aggressively to hold on to this position.
Well, very wounded Jackson Rihanna at that, so he's going to do everything he can, but Sam Muir has that car nice and straight, and nothing is really bent or broken on it as we go on board now with the 195 SimSport, or the 95 SimSport driver, and it's a lovely view. We'll get a sense of just how much he's struggling in a straight line here, Jackson Rihanna. Turn 8 might actually be the biggest tell for Rihanna in terms of what he is carrying in terms of damage. Oh, a little bit into the wall, and I just got away with not hitting the wall there. He got very close to that outside wall on the exit of 8. He caught it on the way into 8, and you can see how much that car is struggling under brakes. He has to get as wide as possible to maximise his run through 8 because he is carrying that little bit of damage. And he's doing a good job though, holding on in P5. Just goes to show his raw pace, that even though the car is damaged, he is able to continue to push on, still lapping in the 119s, which is not too far off the guys at the front of this field. 118 on the that last lap for Daniel Harris at the front of this field. He's got 1.6 seconds back to Ethan Johnson. That is everybody's fastest lap of the race. Fastest lap of the race overall belongs to Alan Dawson in P8 with a 18.5. So he's pretty quick out there, and Daniel Harris a little bit away from that, about 2/10. Dawson's also just gained another spot. Looks like there's a meatball flag for Jordan Malcolm. What has happened to the 32 car driver?
He's had a crash.
It must be a turn at the center chicane by the looks of it. That is huge, and he stopped. Could this bring out a safety car if he doesn't get it moving?
Oh, well, there we go. He's stopped on track. We'll try and get a view of it from another direction, but he's had a major crash. He's stopped on track, so it could well be a safety car, and that could really spell some very interesting strategies, because we do not have a lot of time left on the clock. So do you come into the pits? Do you see yourself needing some repairs? I mean, Jackson Rihanna might be thinking, hey, that might be my best chance of getting some positions, or at least having a car that's drivable. Oh, there we go. He's glitching out, and he's back in again. So awkward times for Sam Muir. That's probably the biggest challenge involved in overtaking Jackson Rihanna, is the fact that his car is sometimes just not there. We'll keep an eye on that. Brock Cadet, in the meantime, up into P10, leading M class. He's put a car between him and Galan, which is exactly what he needed to do, and it's Sabanal who's sitting there in P11. Galan sitting in P2 and M class in P12, and then it's Akers down there in P15. There is a royal, monumental battle going on between those guys as well, and I can't seem to find a good replay of what's happened to Malcolm, so we're just going to have to assume that he's hit the wall in a really nasty way and completely broken his car, and he's jumped back to the pits now, so he's been allowed by race control. And we just saw that shot there. You see the nature of Jackson Rihanna's injury. It's under braking. The car starts to crab.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Obviously, we avoided the safety car there as Jordan Malcolm's coming back to the pit lane. Look at that. Look at how defensive these guys, Jackson Rihanna's trying to be, pulls all the way to the inside now to prevent Muir from going past on the inside. He has to go the long way around and can't quite get it done. So Jackson Rihanna doing everything he can to drive as defensively as possible, hold on to this position that he finds himself in. He's still got 10 minutes to go. We are now at the point where Brock Cadet told us in that interview a little earlier on to keep in mind that after about 30 minutes, these tyres are going to start to go off. They're going to start to struggle. Squirrely under braking for Rihanna, and a little bit unsettled as well for Muir. So that just goes to show the level that these tyres are starting to wear now in this race. And could we see a couple drivers start to make a few more mistakes before this race is over? The lap times aren't as quick as they once were. Everybody in at least the 19s now, so there's not any. So I don't think we're going to see any lap records being, or race lap records being broken anytime soon, as these guys are starting to feel the effects of tyre wear now.
Wow, bouncing through And Jackson Rihanna managed to keep control of the car. He's just clipped the outside barrier as he tried to turn into the apex, and then the car just bounced over the apex. So he is pushing this car to the absolute limit. He knows that Sam Muir will take the opportunity. Wilson is out. And I don't know what's happened, but Tom Wilson has had some kind of issue or connection issue.
Connection
it's
issue.
A disconnect. It is indeed. He's gone completely from this race. So, I mean, for everyone else, that's an elevated position for them. But for Tom Wilson, what a disaster. And we've only got 10 minutes to go in this race, so we were nearly there. Not ideal at all. He joins Leclerc in the pits and out of this race. And I believe Malcolm may well be in that situation at some point too. He's been in that pit for a while, and of course he will be, given that he's had to jump back to pits and put a repair on. So I don't know, you do the math. Would you finish the race as Brad Cooper picks up another slowdown penalty? Sam Muir with the better line through the chicane. Here he goes.
Yeah, he's going to try and set himself up, and Jackson Rihanna holds the inside once again, going defensive. Starting to get darker out there. The sun is going down. The clouds are coming across. The light is fading for these drivers. It's getting a little bit harder for drivers to see their braking markers potentially as it does get darker. The headlights starting to play a little bit more of a role, and he's putting the pressure on is Sam Muir, but defensively driving is Jackson Rihanna. We've got lap traffic coming up as well, so this is going to be a little bit tricky now, I would imagine, but to navigate this battle.
Whoa.
And in the wall again. Massive disconnect for Jackson Rihanna. Is he still there? He is. He's gone defensive, and Sam Muir, again, he has to guess where Jackson Rihanna has gone. Where can he put the car without making contact? And that's the hardest part, as we've said multiple times this evening, that battling with a car that is having connection issues. And again, Sam Muir, he's dropped off a little bit now, I think, as a result of just being unsure of where Jackson Rihanna might be.
Yeah, I think there's two types of drivers. There are ones that back off when a car has glitching issues, and the others that just go, well, you know, I was going to be overtaken anyway. I'll put the car here. Let's take a punt and go for it. And clearly Sam Muir not wanting to take a risk. I mean, remember, of course, he already got a podium position in the first race. This might be a better opportunity. Can he get the overlap he needs? Jackson Rihanna late on the brakes, but this time he's got a bit of overlap, so he'll be able to get the power down earlier, and now he's got the inside line. That is going to be it for Sam Muir. Great overtake. He's timed it to perfection, and Jackson Rihanna's car is not glitching in this case, so I'm not sure he's going to be able to fight this one back, and doesn't. Through we go, and now into the back straight. I think that's a fantastic move by Sam Muir.
Was a fantastic move. Jackson Rihanna did think about the switchback out of 6 into 7, but wasn't able to make anything happen. And now you can just see the difference in a straight line for Sam Muir now that he has clean air and he's not stuck behind the 57 car, and just the difference he has. We've got a car stopped to the hairpin. That's Rob Hamilton, stopped in a very awkward position. That's just on the racing line. That could end in disaster if someone does not is not aware. Look at where he's sitting, and I think he's trying to roll out of the way. He does roll forward and get moving once again, but that was a really awkward spot to stop there from Rob Hamilton, and not in an ideal position at all. And I don't think there'll be too many drivers that are happy about that.
3 wide.
A little bit of contact.
No.
Oh, it's massive into the wall. All 3 cars strewed across the circuit through turn 8. That was always going to end in disaster for Roosh, Akers, and Zhang. Massive damage. Roosh will continue on. Akers and Zhang are stuck where they are. We'll see if we can get them on. Yeah, there they are. Through comes. That's the 7-Eleven car of Tucker. Brad Tucker trying to get through. I believe Zhang has tried to continue on, but that is Zhang stuck there.
Oh, that is an awkward place to be stuck
Akers
on the track.
Is already back in the pit lane, so Akers is already towed back. Zhang is trying to get moving again, but that was a huge accident between all 3 of those drivers. 3 wide into turn 8 does not go. Barely 2 wide into turn 8 goes. That was always going to end in disaster.
Oh, it was, and it all started at turn 6, 7. They got side by side. I don't know who it was that was getting a little bit slow through turn 6 or 7, but they all sort of concertinaed together, and then at turn 8, they really, one of them needed to say, right, I need to back out and get out of this one, because I'll tell you what, it's going to end in tears, and it certainly did. That hasn't triggered a safety car somehow, as most of the cars, I think 2 out of 3 of the cars actually carried on. It was only Zhang that was stuck on track for that period of time, and we were watching Rob Hamilton, whose steering wheel in real life disconnected, so he lost all feedback and had to reconnect that in an awkward place, and the entry to turn 9. But boy, oh boy, let's try and get a replay up of that. Here we go.
There you go.
And which, I mean, that's a huge impact.
I'd love to see where that starts. That's a massive impact. And you can see here, this is Zhang. Akers just on the outside there, went straight back to the pit lane. So I believe it was Roosh that was able to continue on, get back to the pits. And here we go. So this is where it started. Roosh got a run on Akers to the outside, and then Zhang fancied himself a run on the inside. There's a little bit of a touch-up between Roosh and Akers, and then they come across and collect Zhang with them. Massive impact for all three. Zhang's sort of an innocent party in that, just tried to capitalize on the fact that those two were touching side by side, and an unsettled car for Akers after contact with Roosh. Roosh spun across the front of everybody, and they all went into the wall together. Akers is out of this race. He is done. And that was a massive impact for all three of those drivers. Zhang with a black flag.
Yeah, we'll have to sit there in the...
I believe that's incident points.
That might well be incident points. I mean, we saw Zhang return to the pits, so we know that he did pull into the pit lane, but unsure what the reason for the black flag is. It could well be speeding in the pit lane as well. But that will be for the stewards to figure out. And nonetheless, the game has decided to apply the penalty. In the meantime, at the back at the top, I was about to say Back to the Future. Wow, it shows where my mind can be at sometimes. Daniel Harris and Johnson still in this battle, but the gap has come down significantly. Harris is essentially being, well, he's either backing into Johnson, or Johnson has really put the foot down. Looking at their last laps there, it appears that 18.75 from Johnson, so he is on a charge right now. This is what we were saying, the last 5 minutes or so of the race going to be critical, because the driver's going to start to extract as much as they can out of the cars, and any sandbagging that was being done no longer. 0.5 second the gap. This is for the race win. Of course, we had Daniel Harris winning it in race 1 with Ethan Johnston right behind him. So right now it's the same thing. Deja vu in the Matrix at the moment. Will this be the result at the end of the race, or will Johnson have this third, fourth, fifth win? Can he make an attack on our championship leader?
We should only get 2 more laps based on the maths that I'm doing here. So another 2 times by for these guys. They might get a third one in if they're quick enough, but I'd say 2 times later. That's just the fastest lap of the race for Ethan Johnson. So he is pushing at the moment, trying to catch Daniel Harris. Daniel Harris is lifting, but I don't know if it's enough. And Ethan Johnson searching for his first race win this season. Daniel Harris looking for 4 in a row. Can Ethan Johnson provide the upset in the momentum that Daniel Harris has in this series at the moment? Someone has to put a stop to him if they want to keep this championship alive. Otherwise, Daniel Harris may very well run away with this. Keep in mind, it is a long championship, but 4 wins in a row, it's hard to argue with that. Brent Tucker also out of this race with a meatball flag. He was involved as a secondary part of that massive incident here at turn 8 a few laps ago, but I believe the damage he suffered was a carry-on effect very close to the wall for Ethan Johnson through 8 there. Once again, they are running the edge with only a couple of laps to go. Will there be enough time as they cross the line? I don't think so. So I do believe when they get to the line here in about 10 seconds, 15 seconds time, we may get the start of the final lap of the race. Let's find out. If they cross the line with under 43 minutes and 40 seconds, we might get another one. And it looks like it's going to be very close. Is this going to be another lap or not? We'll have to see. This could be the last chance for Ethan Johnson.
It could well be, and that's a very awkward situation for Johnson. Yes, he had to be forced to the inside line into the chicane by the blue flag at an awkward time, and he's picked up a time penalty for running over that first part of the chicane. It's all over for Johnson. No way he catches Harris now, and all of that drama and potential all gone there. And I'm not sure who the blue flag car was involved in that. We'll see if we can find out, but either way, unfortunate for them green. And unfortunate for Johnson. Yeah, 16 green. That is green indeed, and he is a few laps behind. 6 cars out of this race. That leaves 20 on track, and what an awkward spot really is a blue flag car. If you're on the straight, don't be on the racing line, pull off the racing line, and a really unlucky time for Johnson to catch up that flagged car. And so really the question is now not going to be who's on the podium, because it's going to look like Daniel Harris for Effect Simulations, and then Ethan Johnson and Brad Cooper for Antic Motorsports, a double podium finish for them, the first time they've done that this season. So they'll be a very happy team overall, but a chance lost, that is for sure. Sam Muir and Lennox Bradley are going to be the ones going for it at the moment. We've just ticked over And we have one more lap, Isaac. So, yeah. Whoa, that is a moment there for Daniel Harris, who is pulling no punches at the end of this. The last lap might well be his fastest.
Full front, both front tyres off. He was about to take off there and head to space. I think this is the Effect Simulation space program that was taking place there at the curb at turn 2. He had both front wheels off the ground. That car was pointing in an upwards direction. He's done well though. Brad Cooper, another slowdown penalty, but man, has he done well to hold on to that third place. That'll be an absolutely wonderful result for him tonight. He's look, Lennox Bradley under a little bit of pressure from Sam Mills. I don't think Brad Cooper, into the wall for Lennox Bradley on the exit. I don't know if he was helped there, but into the outside wall, and that is a fairly hefty impact. He's going to try and hold on through turn 8, but look, Brad Cooper, you can't go past the job he's done tonight. It's been absolutely wonderful, but Daniel Harris, it looks like he's going to go 4 from 4.
He is going to go 4 from 4 for the 4 last races over the last course of the last 2 rounds, I should say. Daniel Harris rounds the final corner and a race that he nearly didn't win. And that last little mistake there, unfortunately for Johnson. And that is it. Harris wins in race 2 of round 3. And Muir did get Bradley. Yes, he did. And I think something's happened to Bradley. Bradley's off the track. And that is why he has unfortunately made a mistake right at the end of this. We'll try and capture it just before we go to the rest of the results. Here it is. And we're on board now with Bradley. Oh, he's had Sam Muir ahead of him already. So I think Muir has overtaken him, and now he's found himself on the grass. And that, unfortunately, is it. So what could have been a 4th position for Bradley, for Lennox Bradley, I should say, unfortunately doesn't pan out that way. The last few cars coming across the grid finish line now, and that is going to be your race, ladies and gentlemen. What a fantastic race too. Harris extends his championship lead by some distance, and we hope that we have him in the commentary box for an interview at the end of this one, because he is spending a lot of time on P1, and we certainly need to talk to him about that. Let us know if that was on your bingo card today. Harris, dominant in the championship so far. He was dominant at the Bend, and today, dominant at Adelaide. Let's go to our race results. Right, bringing them up in a few moments' time, and Isaac, you'll be getting prepared for the interviews in a few moments' time. So let's go through the race 2 results. Daniel Harris, of course, the winner, another 175 points to his name. Ethan Johnson, what could have been today? And then Brad Cooper in 3rd place, but 2 Antic Motorsports cars in the podium positions today for Pro Class. They're going to be happy about that one at the very least. Sam Muir, Jackson Rihanna, Aidan Lennox Bradley for P4 through P6. Alan Dawson, who I believe got the fastest lap of the race. No, I think that was taken by Ethan Johnson at the end. So 10 points consolation there for Johnson. Brock Cadet will be taking your AM class win, an 8th overall. A very good performance by him. He'll be a happy man. Then Donald Sabanel in P9, P10, the 2nd in AM class, Rodney Galan, followed by Luke Newing, Jackson Starrett, Jared McLeod, Ross Buchan, and then 3rd in M class, Dylan Rouge, who was involved in that monumental accident we saw between Sibylle Zhang, him, and another car. 3-way issues that they were having. It was quite spectacular. We didn't see a crash quite as big as that all the way through, but as we know, 3 does not go into 1 when you're at turn 8 at Adelaide. That is the truth of it. The rest of your results coming up on screen now. 6 cars not finishing the race, including Daniel Lackel, Brandon Tucker, Jordan Malcolm, and Andrew Green did finish the race. Jonathan Akers, I'm not sure if he did or not, but he'll get points for it nonetheless. Right, Isaac, how are we doing? Are we ready to go to a interview?
We certainly are, and I think the man we're going to get in first is 3rd in our Pro Class. And we'll drag him in now, Mr. Brad Cooper. There he is, Brad. Welcome to the booth. First of all, congratulations. You returned to racing this week. You missed out at the Bend, but a good race in race 1 to set yourself up for the reverse top 10 and a podium tonight. That has to feel like a good result for you.
Oh, I'm stoked. Like, there's no words to describe how happy I am. Like, I had car troubles and sim problems and iRacing issues. Like, most of that race I was glitching. My haptic pedals won't turn off. So, yeah.
Talk to us about some of those issues. We saw it throughout the race. There was a couple drivers that were having connection issues. We saw Rob Hamilton had some hardware issues. So it seems to be a common theme tonight that there was some tech issues plaguing drivers, but you overcame them quite well. Hopefully they weren't impacting you too hard because you're still pretty quick out there.
I don't know. I think it might be something to do with iRacing at the moment because they have been having problems the last few weeks. But no, like I just had software and hardware issues mainly because my my haptic motor on my brake just would not turn off at all, even down the straights when I wasn't even on the brake. So I was trying to fiddle with that, trying to disconnect it with my toes while going down the back straight.
Well, talk to us about that race as well. Obviously, hardware issues aside, yeah, you had a lot of pace. As we got further into the race, we were told by Brock Cadet in his interview we did with him between the first race and the second race that we were to expect the tyres to drop off towards the end, about the half an hour mark of that second race. Is that what you found, or do you find the tyres held up pretty well across the 45 minutes?
The tyres were actually pretty good. Like, if I pushed it a bit too hard, I was suffering with tyre issues, but then there was a couple of laps where I just dialed it back just to cool the tyres down, then I was able to go again. But definitely towards the end, I was losing a lot of grip, especially on the front end.
Well, we're very happy and glad to see that you're on the podium this week, and hopefully that's the start of many more to come. But congratulations once again. Before we let you go, is there any last bits you'd like to add?
I'd like to thank all of my sponsors, SimRigs.com, France Made Floors, Far Faster Race Engineering, Apex Labs, SimMagic, and Shock Graphics.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Brad, and we look forward to seeing you in Bathurst in a few weeks' time. Hopefully, we'll see you back on the podium once again.
Fingers crossed. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, boys. That is Brad Cooper right there. What a result for him tonight. And we'll drag in now our second place driver, Ethan Johnson. Ethan, welcome along, mate. First, I don't know if we've had the pleasure of speaking to you so far this season, but again, we get to have a chat to you tonight. Congratulations on the podium. P2 has to feel like a pretty good result for you, finishing in second both races tonight.
Yeah, cheers, guys. I think 2 P2s and was a pretty solid night, pretty consistent. It's really good to grab some decent points and have a really good night.
Talk to us about your teammate Brad Cooper. Obviously a double podium in that second race for Antic Motorsports tonight. He's been working hard. Does it feel good to have 2 cars on the podium in that one?
Yeah, sure does. I think it's a really, really good achievement for Brad in that one. A few things he's been going through at the moment, so I'm sure he'll celebrate that one.
Yeah, well, Bathurst coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Talk to us about that. Obviously, it's one of the most famous tracks known globally, and I'm sure there's a lot of drivers that have had plenty of hours around that circuit. Is that a circuit you're looking forward to in these cars? Is it fun to drive these cars, or are they a bit more of a handful when we head to the mountain?
No, I think it should be pretty good. We'll see how bent they are around the mountain. I think a few of us guys will have plenty of hours there, so we'll should be a competitive race just like here today.
Yeah, perfect. Well, before we let it go tonight, Ethan, any more final comments or anyone you want to give a shout out to and sponsors you'd like to thank?
I'll just give a shout out to everyone from the team from Antic. They've been doing a really, really good job. And Lake's Custom Computers for the really good PC.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your time and having a chat, and hopefully across the course of the season we'll get to have plenty more chats in this booth to you. But yeah, thank you very much and congratulations on the podiums.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
That was Ethan Johnson there, jumping in for a chat, and obviously absolute pleasure to have a chat to him. Now we were hoping that we would be able to have a chat to Daniel Harris this evening, but he hasn't been able to jump in, so we will actually drag in our AM class winner once again for a second chat. Brock Cadet, welcome to the booth. The second time this evening we've had the pleasure of your company, and that's 2 class wins for you tonight. It has to feel pretty good to take out both wins.
Hello again, guys. Yeah, look, that was that last race was difficult. You could really feel the car starting to go away, and there was some really great battling out there. And it's surprising not too many incidents. It was fun to be involved in it, but yeah, bit wrecked by the end. But to take the 2 wins tonight, I think I'm 3 podiums on the season from the rounds I've done, so I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking here. You had a podium all the way back in the feature race that we actually had. That's actually 4 podiums for you, including the 2 race wins tonight. You're on the podium both times in Phillip Island. You actually won the first race there for the class. So this is it's shaping up to be a really strong season for you in terms of the AM Cup Championship. You're looking in a strong position. Now, before we talk about your championship, talk to us about those tyres. You said about half an hour is where you expected them to fall off. Was it on par with what you expected? Did the tyres sort of maintain what you thought they would, or did they hold up a bit better?
They actually held up a bit better than what I was expecting. And about that half an hour point, I was not in too much traffic either, so I was able to manage it a little bit. It was probably the worst spots on the track were turn 1 and 2, about that half an hour mark, and then turn 8, just where you're putting that real stress on the tyre. And luckily, I didn't have too much pressure on me, just with some other battles going on in front and behind, so I could manage that as I wanted to. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the tyre percentage was at the end of that one. I know I ended up with about 40% of the front right tyre left at Phillip Island, so I'll be curious to see which tyre I've absolutely messed up tonight.
Well, looking forward to seeing what comes out of that data. Obviously, we have a month now until Bathurst, so a little bit of time to get yourself set up for that one. Is that a circuit you're looking forward to? As we mentioned a couple times tonight, it is a fairly popular track, known globally, and a fan favourite on iRacing for sure. Are you excited to get to the mountain?
Oh, mate, man, I'll be there with bells on. I just actually spent the last week, a couple of weeks ago, at the 12-hour, the real one, then did the 12-hour on the weekend with my mates as well at TriStar Racing. So Bathurst is a track I could do thousands of laps around and never get bored. So I'm really excited for it. I like to think I've got a little bit of pace there too, but that'll come with practice and tuning the car in. So I think it's going to be, we'll see a big field because, as you said, everyone loves Bathurst, but I think it's going to be a really fun race.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to all the action there, and hopefully we can see you take win number 4 for the season. We'll be chatting to you once again. Before we let you go, any final comments or anything you want to add?
Thanks, guys. Just for a second time, thanks to you guys. The broadcast is awesome. Like, I went back and watched the Bend one, which I wasn't able to attend, and it's really good quality. Thanks to the admins. Big shout out to TriStar Racing. Brant tonight didn't have the best of nights, but he still tried to get out there and pick up some points and stuck in it to the end, so good on him. And looking forward to being here with you guys at Bathurst in a few weeks' time.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Brock. We appreciate your time and looking forward to hopefully chatting to you in a few weeks' time. That's Brock Cadet there. Thank you very much for your time, Brock.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Brock Cadet, and we appreciate his company as always in the booth. We have one final interview, and it is the man that took out both race victories tonight to make it 4 on the trot and to launch what is a very solid start to his championship campaign, Daniel Harris. Daniel, welcome into the booth, mate. First of all, congratulations. 2 from 2 tonight, and as we said, 4 in a row. Has to feel pretty good.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't really have much to say, really. It was good racing. Enjoyed the races. They were nice and clean, at least my experiences were. Impressive from everyone to not get a safety car this evening. Very impressed by that, considering the nature of Adelaide, especially with turn 8 and the staircase and turn 1 and 2. Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, it certainly looks like a lot of fun out there. Talk to us about starting. Obviously, race one had to start from 10th in. Race 2 worked your way through the pack. Talk to us about that. The staircase section and turn 9 looked like a pretty popular overtaking spot for most people. Is that sort of where you were finding it was easiest to make the gains? Is through those sections?
I mean, staircase, everyone was just bleeding off their slowdown, so that's kind of what allowed me to get past, I think, the top 4 is just unforced errors and giving them that slowdown and then just going past them that way. Turn 9, I kind of went around the outside of Jared, but that was really about it. Yeah, I wasn't really looking at what was going on behind me. I was just eyes forward that whole race.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Well, you say you had your eyes forward. Obviously, Ethan Johnson was right behind you in both those races. He was putting a lot of pressure on you at the end of that second race before he got handed a slowdown himself. Was there any sort of pressure you were feeling towards the end of that race, or it was sort of all eyes forward and systems go?
A little bit of pressure, but the main reason he was even so far close up to me is because of that rejoin at turn 8. So somebody was slow on the inside, and so I braked to be cautious because of the yellow flag. So that was, yeah, probably shouldn't have ended up that close, but I mean, it is what it is, and still got the win. But I mean, he's very, very fast, so it was, yeah, a little bit of pressure, but nothing I couldn't handle.
Yeah, very nice. It's certainly seems like you had it all handled out there, and very cool, calm and collected as always. Now we turn our attention in just a few weeks' time. We'll head to Bathurst. You're sitting in a very, very strong position in the championship now. Are you looking forward to the mountain? Is it it's a track you're a fan of? I think everyone is pretty. I think you're hard pressed to find someone that isn't a fan of the mountain. But is it a track you're looking forward to getting to and continuing this strong run that you've had over the last few rounds?
Hopefully. My only gripe is that well, I guess next week we're into week 12, so I'm hoping that with the new update, we fix the pogo wing on the front of the car. Otherwise, Bathurst is probably going to be hell. Skyline is probably going to be at a snail's pace, as will be the Dipper and Forest Elbow. So it'll be interesting, but yeah, Bathurst is always fun, so we'll see how we go. I know a lot of people will have a lot of pace, so it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you get out there and do what you do best and continue to be at the front of this field, because you've been absolutely stellar so far this season. Look, before we let you go, Daniel, is there anyone you want to say thanks or give a shout out to, or any final thoughts that you might have?
Yeah, thanks to Mia for spotting me last race, I guess, and this race. If she does it for the rest of the season, then that'd be awesome, because she does a really good job. Marley, my teammate, for helping me with the setups. Absolute rapid driver. And yeah, shout out to simcoach.co.uk for fast setups and coaching. And buy your gear from Effect Simulations if you are in the UK.
It's a wonderful plug. Well, for all our UK listeners, make sure you head over to Effect Simulations and check it out. But no, as always, Daniel, absolute pleasure to talk to you. We really enjoy having you come in and share your insight with us after, what is such a strong performance, and hopefully we'll have many more of these chats throughout the season.
Awesome. Thanks, boys.
Thank you very much. That is Daniel Harris, our race winner. And George, some lovely insights there from the drivers on what seemed to be a fairly testing race tonight, but a lot of positive feedback, and hopefully we'll see a few more races at Adelaide in seasons to come.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it was a brilliant race out there today at Adelaide, and I honestly, it's great hearing what the drivers are thinking in terms of how their race progressed. Certainly Daniel Harris with the shout out as well at the end, keen to push and for those brands, and obviously the setups and the things are working. He's got a great team around him, so that's worked beautifully for him, and it has today, and it puts him up to nearly a 100-point lead in this championship, as you can see on screen right now. So Sam Muir still in there on 1,087 points. This doesn't take into account the fastest lap, just so you know. So there will be a little bit of shuffling around there. But the biggest mover today is going to be Ethan Johnson. 2 second places in a row for Antic Motorsports. Puts him up 6 positions now to 970 points and P4 overall. So Luke Newing, he's coming for you. And Luke Newing with a new wing now that he's back in the pits and able to repair after that unfortunate incident at the chicane. So lots of stories all the way through the grid in round 3. And Lennox Bradley, of course, up a couple of positions ahead now of Donald Sabanal in P7, P8 to Jared McLeod and Thomas Wilson. Next to Jackson Rihanna in 10th position. He's up a little bit now after a good, solid amount of points. This time out, Jackson Starrett, Jordan Malcolm, and Ross Buchan rounding out your top 13, all your pro drivers. And then it is Jonathan Akers still holding on, but it's equal now with Rob Hamilton, who's got just enough points. So 2 drivers in AMP class on 697 points. Daniel Leckel, despite not finishing the second race, up a few points as well, and finds himself in 4th. Then 3rd, I should say. I can't read left to right, apparently. Rodney Galan up 4 positions from where he was, 659 points. Then it's Craig Spiteri and Andrew Walkley. Rounding out the top 20 is Alex Spinozzi. So there's your championship standings as it is. Bear in mind, you can always go to the season some points on Discord to grab those latest results, which I'm sure Brad will be hashing out in a few hours' time. And I've probably thrown him under the bus. He might be a couple of days. I'm not sure. Either way, before we go, Isaac, let's have a little think about how this race went today. Race 1 and Race 2. Epic driving. The tyres clearly a bit of an issue, and that overtake, the overtakes towards the end, and that massive crash, the three-way crash at the end. Quite the spicy round at Adelaide.
Absolutely. Look, I think this has been a very, very strong round overall. As a couple of drivers said, there's a few issues going on at the moment with iRacing and the iRacing connections, but that seems to be a global issue. So hopefully coming up when we have the iRacing update in a couple of weeks' time, that can be rectified, because we'd love to see that all fixed and good to go by the time we get to Bathurst, which is around that I'm very much looking forward to. And hopefully, as Motor Fields has said in the comments on YouTube, that there's a few, they don't add kangaroos for realism. We like the kangaroos to stay away from Bathurst when we head there in a few weeks' time. But overall tonight, a really strong performance. Quite a lot of drivers are standing out and making a name for themselves. Brad Cooper, definitely one of those drivers that we'll be keeping an eye out for as the season goes on, because he is getting much quicker.
Yep. Indeed, and of course Antic Motorsports on a charge, as are a number of teams out there. We've got a couple of great comments in chat. A few thank yous to us and also to the drivers and the teams, all doing fantastic stuff out there. Motorfield saying congratulations to all the survivors. Yeah, I think it is becoming a bit of a survival track here at Adelaide, and it won't be any different at Bathurst, and depending on what happens with the iRacing update, we shall see. And I also realise as well that when you are asking those questions, that it is a rhetorical question, is it not, down here in Oceania? Do you like racing at Bathurst? The answer is obviously yes.
Yes.
Of course it is. And we love watching racing, and we can't wait for the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship in round 4 to head over to Bathurst for what's going to be a brilliant fourth round of the season. Will Daniel Harris continue his run of good form? Is Sam Muir or Luke Newing or Ethan Johnson able to catch up? And what on earth is going to happen in the AM class? Akers versus Hamilton versus Leclerc versus Galan. It's going to be an epic race to the end, but that's us for now. My name's been George Cooke. I've been joined in the commentary box by Isaac Fogarty. Broadcasting brought to you by TrackSpotTV. Check us out on www.trackspot.tv. Thanks to our primary sponsor, SimRigs.com. Go and check them out on SimRigs.com. Our replay sponsors, Raceline Motorsport Racewear. Go check them out on raceline-racewear.com.au. And of course, our secondary sponsor, Apex Lab, apex-lab.co. Thank you everyone for tuning in today from us here in the commentary box at Adelaide. It is goodbye and good night. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you back for round 4. And we're going to have a good one, because it's Bathurst, and everyone says yes.